Sinners, welcome! It's about time I started making some Saints Row content again, and I thought today we'd play through the beginning of the game that started it all, Saints Row 1. A game that hardly bears any resemblance to what the series is today, but to me, it's like a warm blanket. It feels like home. Having been my introduction to the series before there was a series, I can't help but think of this game when I hear the words Saints Row. But this isn't going to be your typical playthrough. Along the way, I'm going to sprinkle in a hefty dose of Cool Gamer Fax, starting with this gem. The initial loading screen's placeholder is left unused on the disc, and it features a bunch of fat, middle-aged Biggie Smalls impersonators. A theme they clearly loved, as a similar notorious figure would find his way onto the box art of Saints Row 2. Upon loading the main game, we've got this beautiful, serene loading screen. In fact, there's 10 loading screens in total that randomize each time the main game is loaded, and again, left over from an earlier build, we have these 10 alternative loading screens. Some of these are pretty good and look just as nice as the final set, while others have awkward compositions that aren't very flattering to the city, including this shot of the seldom seen Stillwater rooftops, making it clear this game was not meant to be seen from this perspective. Starting a new game just throws us right into the character creator, where we have an advanced array of face modifiers to make the protagonist of our dreams. We can make a stroke victim, or a burn victim, or a dumpster fetus who survived, only to grow up and enter a life of crime against a society that rejected him. The possibilities for making maimed and disfigured people are endless. It's a defining feature of the Saints Row series, and one that definitely went through its share of rough drafts. One of the earliest preview examples of the system shows that the menu is more primitive, there's a slight change in the surroundings, and the fat and muscle sliders are completely independent from another. But we can dive even deeper. These menu textures are left over in the final game, and they appear to be from a much, much earlier build. Bling it up and show your style. Cool. At some point, it was even possible to change the height of your character, but amongst other things, that probably caused way too many issues for cutscenes. And we've never had the option since. Anyway, now that we've taken the time to painstakingly make our character, we can start the game. Our story begins with us roaming the streets looking to solicit a prostitute. This is how we're introduced to the first major character of the game. You know him. Let me hear some noise for my man LeVar.
What you think?
As the lieutenant of the Vice Kings, LeVar's tenacious ability. Okay, he dies. Everybody fucking dies. Oh my god, it's horrible. Our protagonist is caught in the middle of a wet, sticky gangbang, but there's something we have to investigate about this moment. Astute observers in the Saints Row fandom have noticed a blue underglow on this Los Carnales vehicle. No other vehicles in the game have underglow, though some have theorized that it might have once been a customization feature that was cut from the final game, a feature that we wouldn't have until Saints Row 3. However, after combing through the game files and finding some interesting leftovers from back when the game was still under its code name, I can conclusively say that the underglow is nothing more than an omnilight added by the cinematic artist and not a hidden feature.
You okay, player?
So anyway, after being caught in the middle of a three-way between rival gangs, you're saved by two members of a fourth rivaling gang known as the 3rd Street Saints. You're then invited to their base to help reclaim the neighborhood. The game then places us here, right behind a Brown Bagger's liquor store, strategically across the street from an abandoned church that the Saints have declared their refuge. And so, I know, you're on the edge of your seat wanting to know more about the adventures that lie ahead. But we're standing on sacred ground. This spot right here is where one of the first ever leaked screenshots of Saints Row was taken. What you're seeing here is an image of a QA playtest video session, where we see the game, the player's reaction, and an overhead view of the game controller. This is how Volition, even to this day but to a far greater and more sophisticated degree, conduct their QA tests. And some developer at the time took a snapshot of it and leaked it 5 months early. But what could this marker be? It's not in the final game at all, and it's placed at a door that is only meant to be cosmetic. Could it be a cut theft activity? An early save point? Some debug fuckery? We may never know, and so we must carry on. So it's pretty obvious the game wants us to go into the circle and actually start the game, but we could just totally blow that off and go explore the map in its entirety. We can collect money, buy weapons, clothes. We can't do any of the activities yet, not even the unmarked ones. But hey, welcome to the city of Stillwater. Instead of taking up Julius's offer and being a gang member, We can roam the streets as a deranged homeless mass murderer. It's one of the fastest jumps into an open world game I have ever played. I mean, you can go from the main menu to exploring an entire open world map in seconds. And that's awesome! I mean, of course there's a campaign to play, but if you don't have a save file to load, sometimes it's nice to be able to just jump right into the sandbox and get dirty. To provide further insight to this topic, here's Vice President of Development Dan Cermak to explain Volition's approach to the genre.
The size of the world, well, it's not as big as some of the more recent open world games. It's huge. I mean, and it's open from the beginning. I mean, like I said, we don't unlock anything. So you have access to a city, this huge city with a downtown, skyscrapers, all that sort of thing, all at the very beginning of the game. You can go anywhere you want and pretty much do whatever you want inside that, so it's huge. And that's one of the things that's actually taking so much time in development of the game, is building the assets for this huge city, and actually at a next-gen level, because that next-gen level requires so many layers of texturing and things, that normal mapping, all these map layers that have never been there before. It's 6 to 10 times, one texture has 6 to 10 times the amount of information on it.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Anyway, now would be a good time to take a peek through the help menu to get acquainted with how this new game works. And my god, do you get an absurd amount of information. Literally every feature about this game, every moment in the story is documented in the most painstaking detail. It's actually very impressive. I've never seen a game so well documented. Page after page after page of information right from within the pause menu. Especially compared to the actual physical manual, which is for the most part full of in-jokes and lore, this reads more like a technical manual. Hell, even the prologue receives its own explanation. This little moment crossing the street receives its own lengthy entry advising us that we can't actually do anything until we join the Saints. So, okay, let's begin. So Julius Little, the leader of the 3rd Street Saints, is holding a meeting at the church to rally the gang together to take back the row.
Vice Kings. No one's making this nigga scared to walk the road.
All right, yeah!
Yeah!
Fuck yeah! Who the fuck's this guy?
Now this man with the fucked up hair is calling us out because not anyone can just waltz right in and join the Saints. And so now we have to fight to prove that we have the courage for the thug life.
Yeah.
And so this introduces us to the melee system of the game. Probably the only time you're ever going to use this system in actual combat, and this little window is all the information they're going to give you about it. So yeah, it's pretty simple, but there is a bit more to this system than meets the eye. Punching inflicts 40 points of damage to your opponent, but there's a combo system that goes with it. If you hit someone 2 times within a 15 frame window, your third attack will be a random finishing move worth 100 points of damage and will knock your opponent down. Interestingly, if you're moving while attacking, you do 80 points of damage, but you don't get the chance to do one of those fancy finishing moves. Kicking does 75 points of damage and it can get through any block, and at some point there was a tackle attack that would have been worth 80 points of damage, but that was cut from the game along with God knows what. Part of this system was built upon what they were doing at the time with Punisher 2, as when that game was cancelled, a lot of things got merged with Saints Row. But these ideas were mostly carried over to Saints Row 2 and simplified to just 3 actions here in good old Saints Row 1. So with all those cool facts out of the way, this mission has us fight 3 waves of Saints as an initiation into the gang. First it's a 1-on-1, then we move to a 2-on-1, then finally another 2-on-1. It's pretty easy and you could honestly just spam the kick button and still win.
You earned your colors today.
Now, unlike any other mission we'll see in the game, this one has an alternative cutscene if we lose. But the outcome is the same. We're still worthy to join the Saints and we still get a cash reward, albeit at a deduction, but as you'll eventually see, money really isn't an issue. If by any chance you wanted to get this outcome as fast as possible, you could just hit any of the main lieutenants up here and then everyone will turn aggro on you. Besides Dex, they all have unique dialogue for this scenario. It's pretty crafty of the developers to think ahead for what the player might do, but I'm always looking to go a step beyond. Given that the main Saints are invincible, I thought it'd be fun to try and despawn one of them.
Oh, you want to play with the big boys, do you?
But while I was messing around, I discovered that the Saints in this mission have returned to their roots and are actually members of the Vice Kings. You'll even get the notoriety help prompt and earn your first notoriety level if you exit or fail the mission after a well-timed attack. As it turns out, that's the secret sauce to how this whole mission is designed. The Saints who don't attack you are set to be normal pedestrians, and the ones who do are temporarily switched to the Vice Kings.
You feel me?
Okay, so with the completion of the very first mission, we've now unlocked some special rewards. The first one is the ability to recruit a homie. As you progress through the game, you take over districts in the city that become territory of the Saints. Throughout these purple areas, members of the 3rd Street Saints will spawn. As you can see, we got some big old chunky boys in our gang. Some real chonkers right here. These guys are morbidly obese. So yeah, in Saints territory, these guys are always there to watch your back. And now with the Natural Leader perk unlocked, we can tie a leash around one of these guys and have them follow us and attack anyone we attack. They are pretty low level and their weapons aren't too good, and that's fitting because the game actually refers to these type of Saints as wannabes. Right now we can only have one homie, but as you can tell by the silhouette, we can have up to 3 later on. Now with that, we've unlocked a rather unique homie called Wheelwoman. She's someone you can call from the contacts menu on your cell phone and will come help you fight whether or not you're in Saints territory. She's not someone too special as far as combat goes, but like her name suggests, that's not really her purpose. Having her in your party puts you in the passenger seat of any vehicle you enter while she drives for you. There's no set destination, but you are given on-screen prompts to gesture which direction you'd like her to take. It's a feature that feels like it was a direct answer to every game that always made you be the chauffeur for the NPCs. It's actually pretty fun to let her just drive you around while you do drive-bys and build up a notoriety. You can focus on causing as much destruction as possible without having to worry about what's in front of you on the road.
Tight asshole.
Or maybe not. This is still very fun, but a feature that I feel should have been unlocked later in the game, maybe as a reward for completing the drug trafficking activities, because really from here on out, because you lack the firepower to make this really interesting, and because they throw so many other missions at you immediately after the unlock, it's easy to completely forget this is even a feature in the game.
Didn't anyone teach you not to play with guns?
All right, man. Time for you to buy a piece.
So, continuing on, this next mission starts automatically after we join the Saints, which is kind of unique because these are technically 2 separate missions, but they're grouped together as one and play through consecutively. Saints Row 1 does not have autosaves, nor does it have checkpoints, but the unique scripting of this split mission is the closest we get. As Troy said, our objective is to walk into this gun store and buy our first weapon. But somehow before that, there was once an additional objective given to us by Julius over the phone to go buy some new clothes at Sloppy Seconds.
Hey, player, if you're gonna be running with the Saints, you gotta let people know what crew you with. I think it's time you buy yourself some colors.
This would have taken us all the way over here first to buy the clothes before we would have to come all the way back to Friendly Fire, even though Troy right out of the gate told us to go buy a piece. Due to it being an inconvenience, and probably with a continuity error, the tutorial ended up being cut, so the players left to discover clothing shops all on their own. Now, back to our original objective. Buying a weapon at Stillwater's finest gun store, Friendly Fire, because it's fucking crazy out there. Basically all the weapon types in the game are available to purchase and preview right away with no restrictions, but we're sticking with the cheapest gun for now. Interestingly, there's yet another cut piece of audio, except by Troy this time, that was supposed to play as soon as we purchased a weapon.
Listen, once you got a piece, be careful about where you wave it around. If people know you're strapped when you go shopping, they're gonna think you're trying to knock them off.
This is in reference to the unmarked activity holdups where we can rob stores, but I'll get to that later because we can't actually engage in that activity until this mission is completed, so the audio line was probably more confusing than helpful. But you know what? It doesn't even matter because we could have just avoided this entire store scenario to begin with. Get hyped, everyone. It's time for Flippy's amazing speedrun techniques. Not that you'd ever actually want to speedrun this game. That'd be dreadful. But as soon as you start the game, run to Friendly Fire and there's a chance a patron will be in here browsing a gun. Give me that gun, bitch!
Hell no.
There. Running into them makes them drop the gun, and once we have it, we can start the game. Win as fast as possible by having the main Saints deplete our health, and wow! There's no need for the gun store tutorial. This happens so quickly that you can even see the Vice King spawn before your very eyes. Thanks to this speedrun trick, runners can expect to save 1/10 of a second, making this the most optimized route. So the second half of this mission, we just kill, bang bang, shoot shoot, Pow, pow. Kill Vice Kings, which is really the point of this anyway. It's a decent opening mission set. They teach you to fight, they teach you to fire a gun, and holy shit, it's a car chase! It's a car chase! Or something. Okay, so this little car chase sequence is intended to teach you to drive and to introduce Forgive and Forget, which is a drive-through confessional booth that will wipe all gang and police notoriety. And fancy this, you accelerate with the A button. It doesn't bother me at all, you bitches.
You're forgiven. Now go play nice.
And now that that's taken care of, we end the mission by dropping Troy off at Freckle Bitches. Now, I may have talked about this before in my demo exploration video, but I don't think I actually connected the dots until now. In order to drop Troy off, notice how we have to make a U-turn around this barrier in somewhat of an awkward maneuver. Yet the pre-release edition had you fall perfectly in line with a parking space right in front of the entrance. Those QA sessions probably resulted in the final marker being conveniently placed in front of the drive-thru, because unless you were paying attention to the minimap, you might have never even noticed it was a place you could visit at all. But what the hell even is Freckle Bitches? It's a fast food chain that'll let you buy food-themed health packs. Anytime you're low on health and taking heavy fire, you can chomp down on a greasy fist or guzzle a frothy shake to instantly replenish your health points. In one of the earliest previews of Saints Row, esteemed author of the book King of the Ching Chong Chinaman once wrote a scathing review deeming the parody of Wendy's as disrespectful and misogynistic, and immediately stopped playing the game. And so we'll leave off where he left off. But before I go, let's take a look at this mission's unlock. Alright, so this is, alright, yo, welcome. This is our first crib. Welcome to my crib. Fuck. Okay, so really the purpose of our crib, besides causing us to have existential nightmares of the black abyss that is outside our window, is to access all the clothes you bought, save and load the game, store and retrieve vehicles from your garage. The weapons that we unlock through the campaign and activities will all go here, and we have a safe that generates money at a rate that grows as you complete the campaign. And yeah, that's it for the Saints Row Loft, and that's it for the video. Well everyone, I hope this video has taught you all about the meaning of friendship, love, and accepting those who are different from you. Until next time, bye! Bye-bye!
I was gonna be a saint, but I pussied out before the initiation.